Well, hey, it's Friday. It is Friday, the 12th of March, 2021. It is time for your status chat. I am Dale Delbridge, and it's a great day. Now, I think we're going to get a little bit of rain a little bit later. It's been nice and warm, so now we don't have to run the heat, but it's not so hot. We got to run the air, and it's a great time. Of course, just to balance that out, we have tax time coming right around the corner. Be getting your stuff together. It's something, death and taxes, we're not getting by without either one of those. And of course, I have the weekly numbers. But as I was going through some stuff this week, I want to remind you guys a couple of things or give you some pointers for you to think about. I saw this picture a couple of weeks ago when we hit that cold snap. It's something I have no idea where it came from, how old it is, who took it, whatever. It's just widely distributed through the internet and therefore can be used for educational purposes under copyright if it were copyrighted, which is probably not. It's just a snap somebody took. Now, I make firemen mad when I say this. I'm not a big fan of residential sprinklers in the 1 and 2 family dwelling, specifically in the standalone 1 and 2 family dwelling. Now, as we start packing buildings longer and longer with townhouses, whatever, it kind of starts to make a little sense at some point because you don't want all that property loss to go in there. But the more water piping that you put in your house, the more likely that you're going to have damage. Now, I just saw a report that said fire damage and water damage are running neck and neck for the total insurance losses, the biggest ticket items for loss in a person's home, okay? Fire and water. Now, of course, what we end up having is a lot of water issues all over the nation all of the time, and we do occasionally have these wildfires out in California that wipe out billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property at a time. So they end up having to pay on that. Not all of them are insured, so that kind of cuts that ticket down a little bit. And some of them are, you have to actually have a rider for fire in some cases, just like you have to have riders for floods, and that can be a problem. A lot of problem people have with when they do these home improvements. If you build a living space below the floodplain, don't expect to get that insured because nobody's going to cover that because that's a certainty of a loss if it floods, okay? You may not flood, but if it floods, it's a certain loss. So they just won't do that. And you're going to find a problem with that. But something else that you run into, like this picture, I'll put it up again. It's a pipe, obviously a pipe of some size broke when there wasn't any heat and it froze in the middle of someone's kitchen. Now, it could be water pipe, could be sprinkler pipe. I don't know. It's got a false ceiling in this particular room. I don't know the story behind that. But the point is, that is called a sudden leak. In most insurance, their policies will cover sudden leaks. But what people don't realize is like a leaky roof. If you were to have storm damage, rip something up, there's a good chance it's going to be covered. But now if you just have an aging roof and then you end up getting water damage because your roof leaked, they're going to call that neglect and the problem is yours. If you have like a drippy faucet under a sink or whatever, they're going to call that neglect and call you responsible for it. So if your dishwasher suddenly bursts a hose and dumps water all over your kitchen, that's one thing. If it slowly leaks underneath where you can't see and rots out the floor, that's your problem. If your refrigerator, ice maker, or the pan overflows in the bottom and it rots out the floor, they're probably going to call that your problem. So if you are fortunate enough to have knowledge of a leak, get it fixed. If your toilet's leaking around the flange and it's getting the floor, get it fixed. Because if they're not, first of all, you'd have the deductible you got to run through anyway, right? And chances are some of the smaller stuff's not going to get that because almost all of us have ginormous deductibles to avoid that, keep our rates low. And then, of course, we just had all this cold weather, freeze damage in Texas, and I guarantee you the entire rest of the United States are going to get insurance rates to compensate for what the companies had to pay out for Texas and places beyond. So it's a great day. We got to run this commercial.
Hello, I'm Dale Delbridge of Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you are currently unrepresented and would like to know how to compare up to 3 properties side by side and room by room, then go over to my new YouTube channel, Call Dale to Sell. That's 1 L in Dale, no spaces. Watch the demo on Real Scout and then call me and we'll set up your exclusive ad-free account today.
Well, let's get these numbers. Now, 3/5/21 last week, we saw a continuing decrease in the opportunities in the RealTrack system. That includes those on the market and those pending to get on the market, the coming soons, and that was 9,015. That was a decrease over the previous period. We also had a decrease over the previous period last week of 4,620 in the under contracts still showing, and the ratio, matter of fact, even dropped just a tad over the previous period from 52 to 51. Now this week we had 8921, which is a continued decrease in the opportunities. That's including the coming soons, and also those are actually on the market at the time that you see them. Now, we had 4731 in the under contract still showing, and that actually increased a little bit, and the ratio increased from 51% over for last week to 53% this week. So people are working hard to find properties, and you'll see a lot of the just keep life simple. The people who are maybe buying your fear of not being able to sell your house, and they're buying that fear by saying, just call us and we'll make you an offer. Those type of people are buying it for themselves. They're buying it to sell. Some of them will turn around and list it. But you'll find in the fine print, like your insurance that we talked about not covering old drip. Maybe you didn't even know about it, but there's an old drip somewhere. They're not going to cover that loss. A lot of these type of guaranteed offers will buy your house or add an additional 10 to 12% discount over what they just tried to market your house, and that is if they can't sell them. Now, when we're going through a period in time where virtually everything is going over value, you're going over asking, they call it. People are paying a lot for houses, and they're still going over asking price, can't get the financing, or they can't get the contract. People are writing 6 contracts or so at a time before they're able to find someone who they are a successful bidder on. So it's a little tight, but hang tight. We're going to be all right.